News hour, time now to recap the top stories we've been following. A massive earthquake shakes southwestern China, causing widespread damage and killing more than 9,000 people. Premier Wen Jiabao visits one of the areas hardest hit by the earthquake to direct rescue work and inspect damage. Tens of thousands of soldiers are mobilized and the armed police try to reach inaccessible areas on foot. And communication links, railways and highways are all affected in the areas hit by Monday's earthquake. And now Wei Su joins us at the business desk with all the latest. Wei Su.
Yes, we will. On business news now, Vice Premier Li Keqiang says a second national economic census set for launch at the end of the year will be essential to plans for making vital structural adjustments to the economy. Li is the newly appointed director of a team of officials responsible for policies that will set the direction of future macroeconomic and corporate controls, an essential basis for the 12th five-year plan beginning 2011. Li Keqiang was speaking during a video conference where he warned of difficulties in getting data. Tertiary, that's the service sector, and the secondary sector, that includes industries involving energy and resources. He says main reasons are wide gaps in development in recent years, as well as differences in statistical methods used to keep records. But Li stressed that the census would focus on gathering the data needed to fully understand how much energy and water are being used by both the secondary and tertiary sectors. Now, the central bank is stepping up monetary policies in the wake of the release of the consumer price index for the month of April. March this year saw a year-on-year dip to 8.3% from 8.7% in February. But April has seen the CPI growth bounce back up to 8.5%. And the People's Bank of China has made another move to fight looming inflation. It's raised bank reserve ratios by half a percentage point. The new ratio of 16.5% will be effective from next Tuesday onwards. Guan Xin has the details.
This is the first time this year that China has raised reserve requirements for commercial banks. Earlier hikes were in January, March and April. But this latest move comes as no surprise, with many anticipating tightening measures in the wake of the release of April's consumer price index. Year-on-year growth rate rebounded a little from March to hit 8.5%. The central bank governor said late last week that combating inflation remains a top priority. And raising bank reserve requirements will help curb excessive liquidity. A 0.5 percentage point hike in the bank reserve ratio should freeze as much as 200 billion yuan of liquidity in the markets. Analysts say they think an uncertain economy will force the central bank to be cautious with measures like interest rate increases. And they believe the People's Bank of China is also concerned with keeping economic growth strong. This means more flexible administrative or quantitative measures that will not put too much of a curb on growth. Many also suggest that authorities can turn to other tools besides monetary policy. These include a basket of measures including fiscal and industry policies to address complex challenges in the current economic situation. Guan Xin, CCTV.
Well, we just looked at the latest move by the central bank, raising reserve ratios to tackle inflation. Earlier, Professor Li Daokui from Tsinghua University discussed the implications of the recent rise in the growth rate of China's consumer price index.
Well, the most important factor behind this CPI high figure is still food price. So food price still is the single most important factor driving our relatively high CPI. By implication, this, I would argue, will be perhaps the last high CPI that we will see in the remaining of this year. The reason is that the food price should be declining in the coming months. Well, so far, I think there are two concerns. One is high CPI, which I think will ease when we move along, when we go to the second half of this year. The other concern perhaps is more important. That is, we're going to see a slowdown, a moderate slowdown of GDP growth rate, and we hope, and people hope, that the slowdown of GDP growth rate will not be too big, will stay within the range of moderate slowdown.
And an update on the effect of that earthquake on China's two main stock exchanges. They will halt trading of 66 companies from Sichuan province and Chongqing municipality for Tuesday. 45 shares will be suspended on the Shanghai Stock Exchange and 21 on the Shenzhen Exchange. These include companies such as Sichuan Changhong Electric Appliance, Sichuan Honda and Sichuan Road and Bridge. Meanwhile, reports confirm that most brokerage sale and transaction systems in Sichuan's provincial capital of Chengdu are functioning as they should. Well, that's it from me. It's back to Dongmi.
Thank you very much, Wei Su, for the update. Well, you're watching NewsHour, and still to come. Work on Tiananmen Street, Beijing's bustling commercial thoroughfare for over 600 years, is nearly complete. And the Olympic torch relay continues its journey in Longyan City of Fujian Province.
Beautiful and historic, Yangzhou lies at the point where three great waterways meet: the Yangtze, the Grand Canal, and the Huaihe River. In the 19th century, Yangzhou became the center of trade in a highly lucrative government-regulated commodity, salt. New Frontiers tells you the story of the Yangzhou salt merchants, the hugely wealthy businessmen who left a lasting impression on Yangzhou. Only on CCTV International.
Welcome back to NewsHour. Beijing's Tiananmen Street in the center of the capital near Tiananmen Square has been a bustling commercial thoroughfare for more than 600 years and is often called Beijing's first commercial street. A reconstruction project aiming to preserve Tiananmen Street's history is nearing completion.
This is Beijing's largest wooden archway. Upon passing through the archway at the north end of the Tiananmen Street, visitors technically are on the street. The archway is a faithful reproduction of the original, based on old photos in historical archives. The street measures about 840 meters long. Traces of Chinese history are embedded in the great facades, elaborate wooden archways, the street ornaments of rattle drums and bird cages. The renovation was undertaken in the style of Beijing around 1910. It wasn't an easy job. The original restoration plan was revised 32 times.
The new street will be a combination of old and new. We are keeping the street's original style and adding some modern style. This reconstruction project is a valuable experience for us.
The renovation places the once obsolete streetcar back on the rails. The two streetcars currently on test runs are designed and built according to the original style, imported to Beijing in 1924. Cockpits are installed above the head and the tail of the car. Each car has a seating capacity of 84. The streetcars have brand new charging systems. 2 minutes will charge the motor enough for a return trip. Zhang Nini, CCTV.
This edition of NewsHour. I'm Yi Dongning in Beijing. Thanks for watching.